All right, folks, I've been appropriately reprimanded for my potty mouth in the pre-show, and now it is time for Binge Battle, presented by Rotten Tomatoes. I am Mark Ellis, your host, and I'm thrilled to have two competitors who are going to be duking it out for supremacy in the world of Avatar: The Last Airbender, the hit show that is now streaming on Netflix. Originally debuted over a decade ago, and it is one of the very rare shows that you will find all three of its seasons are at a perfect 100% on the tomato meters. An incredible feat, and probably the reason why there was a big budget movie made about it. We're not going to talk about that movie, but I will remind you all that not only is it currently streaming on Netflix, you can catch up on all three seasons, you can also check out whenever the new live action series that is going to be on Netflix airs probably next year at the earliest, but it's something to look forward to. In the meantime, we have a great debate scheduled. I'm here to welcome Maude Garrett, the host of Fresh Daily on Quibi, and she's the creator of Geek Bomb. Maude, it has been too long. How are you?
Oh, it's so good to be back on Rotten Tomatoes. I've been really good, very busy, obviously hosting the show every single week, but I'm so stoked that we get to talk about Avatar. And can I just say that ever since we announced that we were going to be debating this, my DMs and Discord and everything has been firing up because so many people love this show and have an awful lot of opinions about it, but it's coming from their heart and soul. So this is really exciting.
This is going to be a lot of fun. And her opponent today, representing the great city of Brooklyn, New York, she is Karama Horne at The Blurred Girl. You can find her on all social media as well as her website, The Blurred Girl. Karama, thank you so much for joining us here today. What's new in your world?
Thanks for having me. Not much is new because still quarantined. But I will say that what some of this downtime has given me is a chance to do a couple things. One, start my own live show, which I have on Twitch every Tuesday, The Blur Girl Live, as well as catch up on Airbender, which, believe it or not, before a couple weeks ago, my boyfriend hadn't seen. And when I found out the moment it hit Netflix, that's what we spent watching. And I'd seen it so many times prior. So when you guys called me, they were like, do you know anything about Airbender? I'm like, have you met me? So yeah, I'm just super excited to be here. And same as Maude. The moment I announced this, fans went crazy. There's a reason why this show is so loved. And I think we're going to dive into that today.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's been really exciting just getting prepped to host this because this is the show that I'm most unfamiliar with coming into this matchup. I've gotten to check out a number of episodes since I knew I was going to be hosting this, but we've had a ton of binge battles thus far in the later part of the spring, early part of the summer. None have gotten the early social media traction as this, and we have primarily Karama and Maude to thank for that because all their great fans are now hanging out with us either on YouTube or on Facebook. And if you are on Facebook right now, not only do we love having you here, you also are going to determine the winner of each round and the ultimate winner of today's binge battle. How do you do it? It is very simple. You see that thumbs up under Maude? If you think Maude had the better argument, you like Maude's pick better, then you click that thumbs up. That's the like button. If you think Karama is bringing more heat to the table, you like her choice better, you hit that heart. That's the love button. So you love Karama, you like Maude. Don't Maude, we love you equally, but we're just saying for the sake of separating the votes, Maude gets the thumbs up, Karama gets the heart. Is that okay with both of you?
Oh, wait, no. I have to say this. I have to say that.
We have a very active chat room already, too. This is great. I love seeing all these people in here who are just already throwing in their favorite things about Avatar: The Last Airbender. We're about to get going here. I don't even think we need a practice round. I'm pretty sure you could have woken Karama and Maude up and just been like, hey, 5 minutes, you're on, and we're here, and they're ready to go. So without further ado, let's get to our round one topic, and that is going to be, the show's called Avatar: The Last Airbender, so we have to talk about all the different bends that we can have. Who or what is the best bending in the show? Karama, I'm going to give you a minute to start off. What is your opening argument?
I think earthbending. It's literally the strongest form out there. Toph is one of my favorite characters. And think about it. If I had earthbending, I wouldn't have to carry any weapons. I could just literally grab a hunk of the street or a piece of tree and just throw it at somebody. She's also a character that's literally grounded. I know it's not about the character, but a lot of the earthbending leads to other forms as well, like metal bending. You could do weapons. You can create shields. There's really not much you cannot do with earth. And you can actually, it's because it's so strong, you can sort of overtake some of the other forms as well. I think earthbending is the strongest form.
All right, I feel inspired, Maud. I feel like Karen is like my summer camp counselor, telling me all the great things about nature. So, how do you counter her earthbending with what?
Water bending. We are talking about the best element here. And I understand that Earth is strong, but at the same time, Earthbenders are notoriously stubborn and more grounded and unmovable, whereas the water bending is fluid. It is healing, quite literally. It is all about sort of like change and support. The waterbenders that we've seen are the most compassionate there. They are the ones that are totally understanding that they work with water. They're not manipulating it. They're not creating it. They are at one with it. You can totally change the water, whether you want to make it hot and steam, whether you want to ice it and make frozen canals or ways to transport through that. But the ice knives are my favorite. And the other favorite moves that I have with this one is when Katara uses tentacle arms with it. So you can water whip, you can throw the ice as well. It's first and foremost defensive, but can also be offensive. And I kind of love that they're not out to be aggressive with it, kind of like the firebenders, but it's all about sort of like helping first. But yeah, Karama, you said, what is one thing that earthbenders can't do? It's healing. And I think the fact that water can heal makes it the superior element.
All right, Maude, channeling her inner Bruce Lee with the B water claim. So, Karen, I'm going to go back to you for a rebuttal. You heard Maude's argument. She made a pretty good case for water. So, how is Earth going to be better than water?
And I personally think, again, metal bending. I'm going to lean into metal bending here because if I could have this power, I would be a metal bender. And if I was a metal bender, I could heal things. I could remove toxins and lead from water. You'd need my help with that. I could get heavy metals out of the soil so it can become fertile again. Iron deficiency and anemia, thing of the past. Lead poisoning, I could treat it instantly. So I think there's a lot of healing things that can be done when you're looking at the various forms of earthbending, including metal bending. In fact, there's a great fan artist named Marcus Williams. He did a whole series of fan art about gold bending and a whole gold bending tribe. So listen, I honestly think still it can be strong, it can be soft, it can be used defensive in war, and it can heal. And don't even get me started on lava bending.
All right. It sounds like if nothing else, the metal bending is going to come in handy if you live in a city like New York or LA and you can kind of clean up your water supply. Maude, your rebuttal to Karama's.
Well, that's a great thing that you mentioned about today's day and age. We are eliminating the earth. We are making sure that it is all covered and that there's not much access to it. But at the end of the day, the earth is made up of 70% water. This is not a shortage that we will have in supply anytime soon. And the body, the human body, is made up of 60% water. If we do not have earth in our lives, we don't particularly die. If we do not have water, humans will perish. And I want to highlight some of the ways that water bending was used in the series that were super impressive. You had the swamp benders that would manipulate the vines and make vine creatures. Upper was able to go underwater with his air mask, his air bubble that was provided by Katara. They got through the Serpent's Pass by literally doing a Moses and splitting the waterways there. But the best thing, and I'm going to go here, is that waterbenders, if the moon is right, can blood bend. Because the water, obviously 60% of the human body is water, you can manipulate and control people. So you can physically stop another from bending. Is it ethically responsible to do that? Probably not. But does it make it the most powerful element to master? Yes, it does. You can give life, and you can stop life, and you can take life.
Wow, this is just really making me feel like a useless piece of flesh here because I can't do any of this stuff that we're talking about. So, reminder to everybody out there watching us on Facebook, we need your votes and we need them now. We're about to get to the final arguments. Before we do, I'll remind y'all that if you think Maude Garrett is making the better argument in this round, you want to hit that thumbs up like button. If you think it is Karama's to lose, then you hit that love button to go with the blurred girl. So, Karama, I'm going to throw it back to you. You get 10, 15 seconds. Your final salvo for earthbending.
You are absolutely right. Bloodbending is a very, very strong, very powerful and deadly art form. And water is cute and bloodbending is very dangerous. But if I drop a train on you, you're not going anywhere.
Well, I can stop it with ice. For me, though, I mean, we can help make it rain, but we can make it rain. We can stop droughts. And also in this day and age, if there's another shortage of toilet paper, water bending, instant bidet.
You know what? You might have won a lot of fans with that last bidet. I might have opened with that one. But as we get to the end of round number 1, now it's up to us to tabulate the votes. So a lot of people joining us right now, both on YouTube and on Facebook, where you can influence the decision. So great arguments. Amanda Heffington is on here, and she says water. She agrees with Maude. Filippo says earth is definitely the favorite, but he does acknowledge that water does have that blood-bending ability, possibly, that might sway it. So we have Lucy in here who's saying that Karama was amazing. Jimmy Nguyen says bloodbending is horrifying. I agree with you. And Anthony has the best point of all because he says bidet for days. And that is the way it breaks in round number 1. It looks like the slight winner by the thinnest of margins is going to be Maude Waterbending Garrett. So Maude, you go up 1-0 after round number 1.
That's because we've all, had to measure out some toilet paper the last few months.
I think you really appealed to our hearts and our current mindset and state of the world there with that last one. So Maude, you're going to be kicking off round number 2 as you enjoy your 1-0 lead. And round number 2, it's all about character arcs. So there's so many great characters you can glom onto and really pull for, root against in Avatar: The Last Airbender. But Maude, who had the best character arc in the 3 seasons?
This was such a tough debate. I spent a lot of time thinking about this, and I have a very, very big competition here because I will agree with a lot of what Karama has to say with hers. But I'm looking at the sense of an arc with the story's progression because of the character. And because of that, I'm going with Aang. I really, truly feel that Aang has had the best arc, not in the sense from, going from A to B, but the depth of it all. I mean, he started his life knowing that everyone and everything that he had was gone. So he was completely isolated. He is the chosen one, which means that he has the weight of the world on his shoulders, but he doesn't know anyone. He's had to make friends. He's had to ask for help, and he's had to learn what the responsibility of the avatar entails. And that is super frightening. So not only has he got to master all the elements, he has to unlock his chakras. He has to communicate with his past lives. He has to master the avatar state, which is not only his strongest thing ever, but also where he's the most weakest as well. He falls in love. He has to navigate sort of these particular relationships. He's going not only up against other people, but other entire districts and nations and people within leadership positions. He loses his best friend, Appa. Basically, all of these things that are happening, he's wearing all of it. And I think that there's a reason why it's called Avatar: The Last Airbender, because this is his story and it's multifaceted.
Okay, convincing argument right out of the gate for Aang. So, Karama, how do you counter Maude's Aang character arc?
I'm sorry, I got to go with Zuko, and I think most of the fans would agree. He doesn't just have the best character arc in Avatar. He has one of the best arcs in modern fiction, I think, in the last 25 years. Why? He doesn't just go from bad guy to good guy. He screws up along the way. In the beginning, we all know what Zuko wanted. He was after Aang's head, and it was simply because he was banished, and he wanted to bring the Avatar back to his father, regain his role as prince, get his legacy back. But by the end of book 1, his resolve is wavering. The Fire Nation tries to kill him more than once, but then the Avatar saves his life. So what's his purpose? He goes from prince to pauper because his sister tricks him and he has to get away from her along with Iroh. And while he's like couch surfing, trying to find a place to live, he finds out what the Fire Nation has actually done to the people of the Earth Kingdom and a lot of the other kingdoms. And then just when you think he's learned his lesson, he betrays everyone and goes back to the Fire Nation. See, this isn't a straight line. He's up and down, and he's bringing us all with him. And he's touching every single one of the other characters. This is the interesting thing. Once he gets everything that he could possibly want, home, father acceptance, girlfriend, 3 meals a day, he still doesn't have enough. And it's because he is embattled. He's embattled with himself. It's not until he finds out that his paternal great-grandfather, Fire Lord Sozin, who started the 100-Year War, basically killed his maternal great-grandfather, Avatar Roku, at the top of a volcano, that he realizes that the war inside of him is literally not just his head, but in his bloodline. He finds the strength to confront his father, his abuser, the man who burned his face, and he leaves and has to relearn everything. He has to relearn how to communicate. He has to relearn bending. He knows everybody hates him, but he accepts that, and he works to regain everyone's trust, because he knows his purpose is to give fire, to teach fire to Aang, so that he can then bring balance back to the world. He cannot do it without the missing piece. Zuko is that missing piece. Aang couldn't have done anything without Zuko. So I still hold that it's Zuko.
All right, so Aang's character arc may be influenced by Zuko's, and when you say Zuko's character arc, it's I wasn't great at trigonometry, but it's more like that sine cosine wave.
Yes.
Where you're up, you're down, you're all over the place. So we have some fans already chiming in. This is getting very heated in the Facebook chat. Lauren Nicole says Zuko is life growth goals. Ali Stoneham says loves Aang, but loves Zuko more. So it's a whole lot of love right now. If you think that Karama has a better argument, go ahead and click that love button. Click the heart. If you think Maude is bringing more to the table, then click that like, thumbs up button. So Maude, the 30-second rebuttal, you can kick it off.
We are talking about the best arcs, and I loved Zuko's arc, but I've seen it before. This is a very stereotypical trope that we have seen. I mean, Kylo Ren, I watched Star Wars. It is a copy-paste. Previously, it kind of reminds me of Snape in the Harry Potter series. And this whole thing is, for the majority of the story, they're the bad guy. And it is predictable that they will come save the day at the last minute. But we cannot ignore that for 5/6 of this story, he has done incredibly awful and painful things. You can't just wipe away the majority of the bad decisions that he's made. I do understand and like that there was growth there, but Aang's story is going from good to absolute greatness. And I think that that is important. You mentioned that Zuko is a piece of the puzzle. He is one piece. The big picture is Aang. And when we come down to the fact that Zuko's main drive was the fact that his number one trigger for everything was his father, the reason why he is the fight that he's having against his father. Who actually fights his father? Aang. At the end of the day, it comes down to Aang and his Zuko's father. So there, I think Aang is actually fulfilling Zuko's prophecy anyway.
Mark, I'll wait for you to say what happens.
Yeah. Sweet. All right, we're back, and we have the combination. Sorry about that. We had to take Molly out real quick for a little sidebar. And sorry to interrupt what was mounting to be an impressive counter argument to Maude's rebuttal. So if you're joining us a little late, or if you're restarting there, we have Maude and Karama. Currently, Maude is up 1-0 because she won round number 1, which was the best Ben. Maude won it out with the water argument, but now it's Aang versus Zuko. Would it be anybody else? Here's the character arc argument, and to summarize, two great opening salvos from Maude first and then Karama. Maude had a delightful rebuttal that we got to see in full, and then Karama got cut off a little bit. So Karama, I'm going to spot you another 30 seconds. Hit us with some of that Zuko know-how.
Okay, what I was saying was I disagree with Maude's point about him being a stereotypical character. I actually think he has got it. He looks like he starts that way, but at the end, his growth is so different. Zuko's greatest achievement is actually learning how to be an ally. When he leaves the Fire Nation, he realizes that he might have, the next time he sees his family, he might have to kill them. First, okay, that's huge. Second, every member of the team has lost something because of the Fire Nation. You're absolutely right, Maude. They've done some terrible things. And I'm going to use Katara as an example for why I think Zuko deserves like all the praise. Katara said, I will never trust you because the Fire Nation killed my mom. Zuko didn't turn around and say, not all Fire Nation. He didn't turn around and say, what does that have to do with me? That was my ancestors thousands of years ago. I didn't hurt you. Stop blaming me for what my ancestors did. He said, no, I'm sorry. You're right. The Fire Nation did some terrible things. My family has done some unspeakable things. I can't change that. All I can do is show you how I'm here to make a difference. He teaches Aang airbending, goes with him to learn even more. He finds Sokka and Katara's father. Then, in an act of complete selflessness, he finds the Fire Nation soldier that killed Katara's mother and tells her, look, do whatever you got to do. I'll back your play. That is how you prove that you're an ally. That is the greatest achievement that I think Zuko has done, not just because he's gone from bad to good, but because he recognizes that the people that he came from are not great. They're terrible and they've done some terrible things, but he's going to be the change. I'm sorry. It's still, for me, Zuko's hand down.
All right, so we're going to tabulate the votes here and get just a quick final argument from each competitor. It's neck and neck right now, I'll tell you guys that much. So again, you're voting for Karama with your heart. You're voting for Maude with the thumbs up. So Maude, final 10-second argument for your boy Aang.
Oh, yeah. Aang never broke up with his girlfriend over text. Not ever acceptable. Zuko did.
I would actually agree with that. I don't think have I ever, Molly? I don't think Molly says I've never done that. So good. I'm clear of that. And Karama, final word goes to you.
Yes, the title of the show is The Last Airbender. Yes. And we all know that Aang sort of has that title. But when you think about it, when the airbenders went away, the previous Avatar was a Fire Lord. This is his family line. He comes from Fire Lord Avatar Roku.
All right. So y'all really not only have seen this show, y'all have digested it. This is really good stuff. We're getting deep in here. And the chat, thank you guys so much for coming back to Facebook. We had a little time out there and you're back and everybody's celebrating it. It warms my heart. So John chimes in and says, Aang was also a terrible father, which Zuko was not. So Keith Cooper says Roku was the man. So we have a lot of different opinions here coming in. And when it all comes down to it, it does appear that the hearts won out and Karama has tied the score 1-1. She's on the scoreboard after winning round number 2, the character arc. So it's 1-1. And this is kind of the matchup we would have expected as we move into round 3. Somebody's going to have the lead once again after this round. Again, you're voting for Karama with the heart. You're voting for Maude with the like. And our topic today, this is maybe the one I was most looking forward to, because what's a great moment or quote from Iroh? Karama, starting with you.
Okay, so first it's Iroh. I love you, but when you watch the show, you will know.
And I'm glad you're here.
So the best Iroh moment, in my opinion, is season 2, episode 14 in Tales of Iroh, when he sits at his son's grave and sings the Little Soldier Boy song, because Iroh lost his son, Lieutenant. So he's sitting at the grave singing this song, and every time I hear it, I burst into tears. But the episode actually starts with him singing the song to another little boy who was crying in a market. And then you realize the whole reason why he's in Ba Sing Se at this time, the whole reason why he's sitting at this tree is so he can make that annual visit to his son's grave. And when you get that and you understand the whole story behind that, it's such a huge, huge, powerful moment. So for me, it's Uncle Iroh singing Little Soldier Boy.
All right. Well, I don't know if it's going to be my favorite Iroh moment, but certainly the chat helping me out and backing Karama up with the pronunciation of the name. They're sounding it out phonetically with emojis. There's an I, and then there's somebody in a boat rowing. So thank you to everybody out there for educating me. The matriculation of Mark Ellis and higher learning continues. Maude, time for some more education with your choice.
Well, you gave us the best eye roll moment, so thank you for that. But my favorite Iroh moment, or we'll just affectionately call him Uncle, comes from Book 2, Episode 9, the Bitter Work episode, where Iroh, his beautiful quote is, "It is important to draw wisdom from many different places." This is when obviously Zuko has been banished, and all of Book 2, he's traveling with his uncle, and he's kind of like learning to adjust to life and to figure out what his purpose is, and is haunted by his banishment. And I love this moment because, as Karama did an amazing job expressing Zuko has an incredible arc. He really does. And in this particular case, he's so focused on his past and with fire bending and the Fire Nation. And he's so caught up in that it's almost burning him alive. And what Iroh is trying to educate him about is you just know one little pocket of all of the world. And now that you are out of your beautiful glass castle, you get to experience life and you get to experience other people. Like, it's not only in a class system where he was a prince and now he's like a pauper, as you were saying, but also through different elements. And I think that this is such a timely message, especially now when Iroh is inviting Zuko in his privileged little boxed off life to look at his privilege and to open himself up to other perspectives. And only with that, if he sees other people like through their lens, and if he walks a mile in other people's shoes, only then will he understand the big picture here and have growth and really come to be who he is at the end. Like, I think as soon as that key crucial moment happened, that is when his path to growth actually happens. We're talking about doing these ones. That was what set him off into the trajectory of being better.
Yeah, it sounds like y'all might be on different sides of the fence here, but I think we can all agree we could use more Iroh in the world currently. So, Karama, I'm going to pivot back to you for a quick rebuttal.
I think we get so caught up in Iroh's quotes and his tea and his sweetness that we forget that he was once the Dragon of the West. He was literally the crown prince of the Fire Nation, and he was supposed to be king, not Ozai, his crazy little brother, Zuko's father. His dream was to take over Ba Sing Se, and he lost that battle. And he actually got into one wall, but then lost the second one. And losing that battle lost him his son. And right after that, he lost his will to fight. Then he lost his title and then got demoted slower and slower until he was then basically ejected from the kingdom along with Zuko. So I honestly think had Iroh not had that moment at that tree, losing his son, he would have not become who he became to teach Zuko that there's a different way, there's a different lineage. You do not have to go this route because Iroh learned it first.
Yeah, the teaching of Zuko, it's a compelling argument that Karama brings up there, Maude. So I'm going to give you the same amount of time to win over maybe some hearts into thumbs up for your team.
This is not necessarily Iroh's story. It was important to acknowledge who Iroh is and the place that he made in that, but that mistake cost him his future, his path. So he invested in Zuko, and he's realizing that Zuko never really had a good role model or mentor, and he adopted himself to kind of be the father figure that Zuko was never going to get with Ozai. So for me, I think by imparting his wisdom and knowledge, he is investing in his nephew to do the good that he wasn't allowed to do and that he was denied. The whole premise of The Last Airbender is that there's 4 different elements and it's creating harmony between all of them. And by the end, Zuko becomes the next Fire Lord, but it's only because he learnt wisdom from many different places. And for half of season 3, he was teaming up with Katara the Waterbender. He was the Firebender. He was learning from Aang the Airbender, and he was there with Toph the Earthbender. That all of that information and being able to put his BS aside and listen and learn about their perspectives was he able to be the Fire Nation, the Fire Lord, that the whole, not even the Fire Nation, but all of the world needed from Zuko. So that couldn't have happened without Iroh's particular piece of knowledge about drawing wisdom from different places.
Okay, we're about to hear final arguments from each side. Before we do that, I want to give a big shout in the chat to Keith Cooper's just dropping some serious knowledge in the chat. And DJ Kirkland might have my favorite comment because DJ says, I just finished rewatching the entire series a few weeks ago, and now I'm ready to watch it again. Wow. Maude, Karama, y'all are really getting more eyeballs to Netflix right now to check out the 300% fresh seasons on the tomato meter. So Karama, for your 10-second closing argument, let's drop a mic.
Basically, everything for the Fire Nation changed. Everything for the Fire Nation, changed not when Zuko was born or when Aang was freed from the ice, but when Iroh's son Lu-Ten died at that tree where he's singing that song.
All right, and Maude.
This is an Iroh story. The change that is happening is all done through Zuko. Iroh is investing in Zuko by getting him to see outside of his own privilege, by learning about other nations and other people, and becoming balanced in himself. So that particular moment about learning different perspectives and seeking wisdom outside of it, Iroh delivered it so that Zuko could be the Fire Nation Lord that everyone deserved.
Okay, two great arguments, and I can tell you this is the closest of the 3 rounds that we've had. Chuck Dragon Black Collins in the chat room says the real winner of this round is Iroh. That is correct. I would actually agree with Chuck there. And if there's a secondary winner, it's me for learning how to pronounce names correctly. But we do have to give only one of our 2 competitors the win and the point here for round number 3. And again, closest margin yet. It goes the way of the thumbs up to Maude. So Maude reclaims her lead from round number 1. She once again is up by a point, 2-1. So here we go, Maude. You're going to kick off this round. And Karama, it's do or die. You can force a tiebreaker round 5. If Maude wins this round, then Maude, you will be crowned the champion for Avatar: The Last Airbender Binge Battle. So our 4th topic, and possibly our last round, is very simple. What's the best season finale? You got 3 to pick from. Maude, which one are you taking?
I'm going season 1, and that is because the season 1 that of all of those episodes was when we were learning about the story. Who is Aang? What is going on here? What are the elements? It was so explanatory that with, Aang being the titular character, the Last Airbender, what does the Avatar mean? What does it look like? There's been a lot of issues happening in the water tribes. They are sort of like the smaller, more nomadic kind of all the tribes. And so that's what the Fire Nation is attacking first. Aang has not learnt enough. He is still so green in this particular moment. He is unconscious for a lot of it, trapped in this meditative Avatar state. And this is when we discover what the Avatar powers can be. And I think that by Aang becoming and harnessing the ocean spirit is the first, oh damn moment that we had, where it was like, this is what the show is all about. This is so cool. I am loving this. The dichotomy between Aang being so vulnerable and helpless with Zuko kind of like in charge at that particular moment was super important. The fact that the Water Tribe, where we know Katara and Sokka probably the best out of the main groups, like the Water Tribes is where our compassion is at. So the fact that that was under threat is a huge thing. And also Sokka gets some action. Sokka was a bit of a character for all of season 1, because not only was he trying to be a leader, but he was the comic relief and he didn't really know his strengths, but he had a lot of purpose in this particular moment. And so that was a great growth for him. So I'm going to say with all of those things, with Aang merging with the ocean spirit and taking out the Lord General at that particular moment, and just seeing what a force this boy is. Look at that badass thing. Oh, it was so cool. That for me is the best season finale, because it made you locked into the show, and it also foreshadowed a lot of what was to come by seeing that the moon and the elements above actually held and manipulated and enhanced or decreased elemental powers. And so I like the fact that it was foreshadowing and leading us into a really exciting season 2.
It does a great job of a season 1 finale. It wraps up a lot of storylines, but also teases us to go check out next season. So, Maude, you're going to like this. Nathan Swap in the chat room says that Maude is dropping geek bombs here. So,
hey!
that. But now it's Karama's turn to tell us her favorite season finale. Which one are you taking?
I'm taking season 2. Because it's so emotional. And now we do know all the characters. We do know Aang's powers. We've been through this emotional ending, and now everything seems so nice. The whole season lulls us into a false sense of security and then just throws us off a cliff. Basically, Zuko has come into his own. He's living in the tea shop with Uncle Iroh. They're exiles. They have a whole nother life now. He's turned a new leaf. Aang is back at the Airbender Temple with Guru Patik, learning basically how to achieve the Avatar state. Sokka gets to see his dad. He's going to go on a campaign. Katara is in the Earth Kingdom as an advisor. And Toph figures out how to iron bend, which no one's ever done. And even Appa escapes from captivity in his no good, very bad week. Like, everybody has something good happen to them. And then all of a sudden, of course, here comes Azula and her girls, and they invade the Earth Kingdom. And just at the end, when everybody is in that Earth Kingdom cave, and we see Aang come to save Katara because he leaves his airbending training to see her, not even knowing if he's ever going to become part of the Avatar state again. He comes to save her, brings her brother. Zuko's already there, and we're waiting for him to fight his sister along with them. And what does he do? He turns around and fights against them. Not only does he fight against them, we are so in shock that he's done this. We almost miss Azula shooting Aang in the back and killing him. And yes, I said it. He died. He did. It wasn't until Katara used her water at the very, very end of the episode that he wakes up for a moment that you realize that at that moment he's not dead, but you don't know what's going to happen over the next season. But all this stuff that we've seen with Zuko, all of this growth that we've seen with the other characters, it's like it's been thrown out the window. It was heart-wrenching. I remember being furious when Zuko turned around and went back with his sister. So, and I don't think I'm alone in that.
Okay, so it's a great point because not all endings or finales for that matter necessarily have the happy ending that you're rooting for with these characters. John Giovanni heard Karama's argument and said, yes, I get chills every time. And Lucy chimed in saying Karama is correct. It's literally the Empire Strikes Back of Avatar. So it's neck and neck right now. Again, if you're voting for Karama and her argument, you're going to click that heart. If you're going Maude Garrett, you're going to click that thumbs up. So Maude, going to throw it right back to you for your rebuttal. What do you got?
I do think that season 2 was a lot, but it was quite intense. And I think it was slightly convoluted in the fact that they were putting a lot in there. Pacing wise, you kind of don't really catch on to the fact that Aang died. That was not done in like the most sort of pivotal way. Whereas I feel like in season 1, the whole motion of getting to where he is, getting out of the Avatar, getting into the Avatar state, becoming and fusing with the ocean spirit. This was such a badass moment where you were able to relish in what was happening. Like he was fixing all the solutions. He was saving Katara, the girl that he loves, family, like this entire tribe from the Fire Nation. And also right at the end, we are finally introduced to Azula and seeing her place in all of this, where she has completely replaced Zuko and will be actually hunting him down. So it sets that up really nicely as well, because we know that Azula is a huge part of the show. I do think the number one thing about the finale, though, is that we are introduced to the most frightening creature that this entire show had to offer, and that was Ko, the face stealer. This is something where when Aang goes into that Avatar state and when he's exploring around, a monkey turns around without a face. And basically Roku says to Aang, you are about to talk to a spirit where if you make any kind of emotion, it will steal your face. And Aang is so new to all of this, and he's only just started this adventure. And to have that kind of pressure put on him when everything around him is slowly crumbling and he has to not show any emotion to this frightening creature that looks like this giant spider, that was some of the best that the show had to offer. And I think that, season 1 is better because of that.
Yeah, someone no face comes at me, I'm probably going to show a little bit of emotion. I will give you that. Karama, it's all you for your rebuttal. Why is season 2 better of a finale than season 1?
I agree. There was a lot of things that people emotionally went through with Aang in that first season finale. And yes, the face stealer is very creepy. I'm arachnophobic. I agree with you. But we now in season 2, remember, we're beyond this. He has survived that. And so all of the other things that happen after this, meaning everybody is doing well and they're moving towards their goal. At the end of that first season, he masters waterbending, but he doesn't have firebending down yet. He really doesn't. And that is why he's so easily defeated at the end of season 2. It is a firebender, Azula, that takes him down. And if he does not learn firebending, he literally cannot fight the firebender at the end of the entire show. So I still think this is not as upsetting as Zuko turning his back on everyone. This is not as upsetting as Azula shooting him down. And also combustion bender, hello, much more terrifying.
We have another great debate here. This is round number 4. So Robert Jeffrey echoes my words. He says, these are the type of debates I love. And Robert, thank you for sharing the stream. Really appreciate that. So now we move on to the final word. We're going to start with Maude, then go to Karama. And once again, get those last votes in. You're hitting that heart. If you side with Karama, you side with Maude, you're hitting that thumbs up. Maude, take it away.
I think really you have to look at what emotions are evoked from watching these finales. And for me, season 2 left me feeling quite upset, quite sad with how it all happened. There was a loss of hope at one stage. I felt really quite heavy about it all. But the end of season 1, I felt liberated. I felt empowered. I felt like I was so excited to continue this show. And I felt like it was one of those moments where maybe we are comparing the fact that it's like a new hope, because the Death Star was blown up as far as I'm concerned. And I was Han being like, Yahoo! And that for me is why it is the better season finale.
That's right. Then
I spoke in Mark terms, so he gets it.
Then they built another Death Star. And it was, hey, look, y'all know Return of the Jedi is my favorite Star Wars movie, but that's a different debate entirely. Now, Karama, it's your last word, stumping for season 2.
Okay, I'll use Star Wars as well. Aang is basically training with a guru so he could get to his highest avatar state, and he has to leave his training and risk his life like Luke had to leave that swamp and his training with Yoda to go and save his friends. And at the end of the day, listen, 2 words: Aang died. That was the most terrifying moment. I'm sorry, that's all I'm going to say on that.
Well, look, I appreciate y'all dumbing it down to my Star Wars speak for me, because even though I'm not even the jury here, I'm just the judge. I just have the gavel, and I'm just trying to maintain some semblance of order in my little courtroom here. I appreciate you all catering to me. And we did have some fans chime in with the Star Wars reference. This is a good Chuck Collins says season 2 is the turning point. It solidified the relationships of all the characters and gives you so much hope only to cut off your hand like Luke Skywalker. Well, I do remember that at the end of Empire Strikes Back. So it was between Maude and Karama, and sometimes we have a tiebreaker round, and that's only if we're tied after round 4, which we are. Karama wins the point, and it is 2-2. It's in a deadlock, but not for long, because we have that tiebreaker round. If you've been following us and watching previous binge battles, this might be the most hotly contested one, but I believe in one of our first binge battles, Roxy Stryer came back from down 2-0 to Lon Harris to ultimately win that. So anything is possible right now. We're deadlocked at 2, and we're going to go to our final debate topic, which is, come on, this is any show. So you say, what's the best episode? What is the best episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender? Just to make it fair with a little bit of randomness, Karama, because you're currently broadcasting from further away than Maude is, I'm going to give you the courtesy of being the away team. So I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 2. Which number am I thinking of?
2.
That is what I am thinking. So Karama, would you like to go first in the tiebreaker round, or would you like to defer to Maude?
I'll go first. It's fine.
Karama's ready to go. So without further ado, what's the best episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender?
I personally think the best episode in Avatar: The Last Airbender is the Blue Spirit episode, season 1, episode 13, for several reasons. One, we haven't talked about this much at all. We talked about a lot of characters. The animation of this show, and specifically in this episode, when basically Zuko, you don't know it at the time, is donning the mask and becoming the Blue Spirit to go break out Aang. That animation is amazing. So J&M Animation Studio in Korea, shout out to them. They've also done Green Lantern. They've also done Dante Inferno, if you want to, like, for some geek stuff there. But this episode is not just amazingly animated, but you literally see for the first time Zuko and Aang working together. We don't know. He doesn't know who's under that mask. We know that Zuko is going up against the Fire Lord who is trying to kill him, but he also wants to get his honor back. So you never know throughout the episode, is he going to actually take Aang? Is he going to kill him? Is he going to hurt him? Or is he going to set him free? In the end, he actually needs Aang to save him, which is not what we're expecting. So this is one of those, again, it's a turning point also for Zuko. It is, I would say, a foreshadowing for the series finale that we were just talking about. Mm-hmm. But it really is, this episode really gives us an idea of the two characters how they're battling each other, but how they're actually two sides of the same coin. So for me, it's Blue Spirit, episode 1, season 13.
Okay, so I got good news, Karama. I know you have at least 2 votes for you because I was looking at the chat room and Colin and Jimmy both lit up when he said Blue Spirit. So you got at least 2 hearts coming your way. Everybody else can click the heart to vote for Karama, or you can click the thumbs up to vote for Maude and her favorite episode, which is what?
Season 3, Chapter 5, The Beach. Now, we have had over 2 seasons full of learning about Katara, introducing Toph, knowing about Sokka and how he is a crucial part of the team, and also understanding Aang's journey. What we never really got a lot of time with is Azula, Mai, Ty Lee, and Zuko with those particular friends and his sister. We are seeing for the first time teenage relationships, and I call this the therapy episode. They are all talking about their feelings. They are pinpointing why behavior is occurring. You are like this because of how you were raised. The reason why you want attention so much is because you never had any and you were one of 7 kids. These really healthy discussions normalized talking about why you behave in a particular way, expressing and pinpointing the exact reason behind it, and then growing from it. This was so crucial for children and adolescents and adults to watch. And the fact that they made it the best episode because it's teenage hornbag content, I was there hanging on to every single word. It was because they were doing basically their spring break where all the Fire Nation kids or teenagers got together when they were having a bit of a party and a holiday, and they were at a house party, and then they realized that they didn't fit in, and so they went to the beach and they had these in-depth discussions. You see the fact that men fawn over Ty Lee, and she's like, the way that she's responding and reacting to it is super innocent, but then all of a sudden it's really annoying Azula, and she's understanding that no one's really giving her attention and why that is, so she tries to change herself so that guys like her, but she hasn't got that capability because she's an absolutely evil POS. And then you're also understanding Mai and Zuko's relationship. We'd never really seen how or why it happened. The reason why they got together is because there was a little bit of a, oh yeah, you're going to be cool to see Zuko again because of last time, wink, wink. But now we're actually seeing them as a couple and why they work well together. This for me was so emotionally and behaviorally advanced and so important to, I feel, the society and the viewers. And there's snooching.
All right, it's Blue Spirit versus The Beach. Fun fact about The Beach is that the voice actor who plays Azula, that's actually their favorite episode. I'm not that smart. I just stole that fact from Colin Hanrahan in the chat. So thank you, Colin, for making me look like I know what I'm doing. Karama, we're going to go back to you for your 30-second rebuttal. Maude made a great argument about The Beach. You made a great argument about Blue Spirit, so add on to it.
Okay, I'm sorry. Hornbag? 1987 call. They want their phrase back. So listen, the beach episode, it's fun, but in anime, we call that a filler episode. It's not giving us the action in a lot of the major storylines and the major story arcs that we want. Commander Zhao has basically had it out for Zuko this entire time. For basically most of season 1. Even Fire Lord Ozai doesn't know that he's tried to kill his kid. So he's literally out to get him, and Zuko is out to rescue Aang, not just because he wants to save Aang's life, but because he wants to basically give a finger, basically, to Zhao. He literally uses his Batman-like strength. He goes like into full, this isn't even his final form, but we see the fact that he is actually not just a firebender, but he's good with his hands. So that is what's so amazing. We get to see so much action, and there's so much that happens at the end of this episode when Aang saves his life, Zuko's asleep in the woods with him, and Aang is waiting for him to wake up. He wants to see, are you still my friend? And Zuko shoots a fire blast at him. And that's how he knows the chase is going to continue. So I'm sorry, Blue Spirit, I think, is still a better episode.
All right. It took 5 rounds, but it might have just got personal, Maude, because Karama coming in with the F word, filler. How do you rebut?
I actually kind of want to use her previous argument against her, and that is season 2 was better than season 1, apparently, because we were more invested in the characters. I think by the time we're in this episode in season 3, we are far more invested because we know these characters, and this episode was able to fill in the parts of their character that we didn't know yet. So it completely fleshed them out as a whole. This episode also brought us into the introduction of Combustion Man, which was not a filler moment at all. It was something that affected a lot of episodes after that. And the fact that it was Zuko that sent him as well, like, what? That's not a good thing. And Combustion Man is so dangerous and destructible, and that power is something that we hadn't seen before, because a little eye opens up in the middle of his head. So that juxtaposition between Aang and his crew trying to relax in a hot spring and then coming across an enemy that can blow up things with a combustion of energy at them, and then seeing the bad guys, our little foursome that are having their spring break moment and talking about their feelings, was such a lovely contradiction. And it was really showing things that we hadn't seen yet in this show that was quite necessary by the time we got to episode 3. I loved learning about Ty Lee's history. I loved learning more about Mai and how she grew up. And I think it is so important to reflect at, childhood trauma can surface in particular ways, but when you are becoming an adult, you realize more that's happening out there, and then it can become a choice. And I think this pivotal moment is why Zuko cannot ever associate necessarily with his sister and sees a bigger picture for him personally. And I think, especially in anime, it can be a lot about, explosions and the fights and the battle sequences. This was so much deeper and enriching in an emotional way.
The beach.
And they're in bikinis and trunks.
You also have that at the beach. So it's a great counter argument to Karama's postulation. So we are going to go back to Karama and then to Maude for their final argument. It all comes down to this. I think I speak for both competitors when I say we could go 15, 20 rounds, but we are under some time constraints. So unfortunately, this is the last round, the tiebreaker round. Hit that heart if you're siding with Karama and you want her to win the binge battle. Hit that thumbs up if you want Maude to take the whole thing. So Karama, it's your last argument in today's matchup. Have at it.
You're absolutely right, Maude, about the trauma. Yes, all of the trauma in Zuko's life is the whole reason why he's wearing the Blue Spirit mask, the mask from his mother, the mask that is the only representation he actually has left of her. And it's the first inkling that we have that Zuko may be more redeemable and Aang may go out on a limb and fight for him. Remember where this episode is placed. So yeah, I see we're flip-flopping a little bit, but I'm definitely going to say that this, in terms of pivotal moments that you remember when you think back on all of Avatar, when you go back and watch all of them, this episode, the Blue Spirit episode, is one that you remember. I don't think most people remember what happened at the beach besides Combustion Man. So I'm sticking with Blue Spirit.
Sticking with Blue Spirit. It's all you, Maude.
When I look back, I think that episode in season 3 is such a pivotal moment, because we're really understanding the core of all of these characters and identifying who they are as a person. For the first time, we have seen Azula be such an indestructible, sociopathic antagonist here. But in the beach episode, we saw her vulnerabilities. We saw that she had a particular weakness and that she didn't feel good enough. And that ended up becoming her demise. So I think that a really great part of storytelling is not having a good guy and a bad guy for the sake of it. It's understanding that they truly think that what they are doing is good, but why it might not necessarily be bad. And I think the fact that this is a show that children to adults watch, the fact that they are normalizing discussions about behavior, that they are recognizing trauma, that they are normalizing the way to talk to friends and what's acceptable and what's not, and how to grow as a person to be better is, for me, the most fundamental element. And they play beach volleyball.
I love every one of Maude's arguments in this round ends with just something fun you get to do at a beach. So it really is an appropriately named episode, if nothing else. This is maybe been the best argument of them all, and why not? We saved it for the tiebreaker round. If you know me at all, you know I love competition. You know I love competing. I love hosting events like this. But man, is this where the job gets tough, because I do have to announce there can be only one. There can be only one winner.
Highlander.
You voted with your hearts for Karama. You voted with your thumbs up for Maude. And even though it's like and love, I think we both love each other equally. But your winner today of the Last Airbender binge battle, fighting out of Brooklyn, New York, it is the blurred girl, Karama Horne.
Oh my God.
W. Congratulations.
I totally didn't think I got the one. Whoa.
How's it feel?
Well deserved.
Thank you. No, honestly, that's what we were sort of saying in the breaks, that there's so much of the stuff that we just discussed and what you saw going on with the fans in the chat. This is why Avatar: The Last Airbender, the animated series, is such a fan favorite. Like everything that we were just talking about, you're not going to go anywhere, to any convention, to any to any panel, to any group, to any social media, and not bring up, hey, what do you think about Avatar: The Last Airbender, and have discussions like this. I know you've had them on. So, but thank you.
I will talk about this show forever, and like just being able to express it and fight for good components of the same show. It is totally worthy of its 100% over 3 seasons. If it's been more than a year that you've watched it, watch it again. It's like been the highlight of my lockdown. It's such good show. It is laugh out loud funny. It has such powerful moments. It's just so good.
And I am so thankful for our tech team. We're not done yet, by the way. We got a couple streaming picks to get to, so stick with us for just a little bit more on Facebook and YouTube. But our tech team brought us together to have a cool argument about fun, nerdy stuff on a weekend when I'm pretty sure the 3 of us would all be traveling to San Diego to go to Comic-Con, and that's not happening this year. But we got to have one of those great late night, we'd do one more round at the hotel bar debates before we all go to our rooms. And it was just such a pleasure to hang out with you all today. Karama, you are a winner, so I'll start with you. Do you have a current streaming pick that you're looking at that you think maybe a lot of our fans would enjoy?
If you haven't caught The Old Guard yet, I think you should definitely check it out. It's really good. It's based on a comic book. You don't have to have read the comics, but they are good. Based on the Greg Rucka series. And they're actually coming to an end, that comic, very, very soon. They're talking about rebooting it. So The Old Guard, starring Charlize Theron, really good on Netflix. And if for my anime fans, Fire Force. The 2nd season of Fire Force is out. One of my new favorite characters, Ogun Montgomery, is there. And that's over on Funimation. So those are my 2 picks.
All right, Maude, I'm going to turn it over to you. I know it's tough to take an L, but you adjudicated yourself very well in your fandom and your love for Avatar: The Last Airbender. What are some other good streaming picks that our fans can check out?
I want to echo the sentiments about Old Guard. Support female directors, and Gina Prince Bythewood did such an amazing job with this film. And my suggestions kind of also showcase why I love Old Guard. I love seeing female protagonists that are so amazing at what they do, and they challenge stereotypes. So mine, and this is what I have been binging these lockdowns, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which I like to do at least every 4 years because it's an amazing series. It was revolutionary for its time. And also, the chemistry, the everything. I love that show. But then also Alias, which is J.J. Abrams. And this is a series, a CIA operative, Sydney Bristow, played by Jennifer Garner. My gosh, I like blanked. I'm like, what's her name again? It's always going to be Sydney Bristow to me. She basically thinks that she's been in the CIA the whole time, but has been fighting on the wrong side of, good and evil. And seeing that relationship unfold with her CIA operative when she finally comes to the truth, the relationship with her father, the fact that she is so strong physically, but also here, and she's so good at her job. That to me is what is inspiring, and I love that.
Some more great work out there by a very promising young female director. Check out Relic. Not The Relic, just Relic. Check it out. It builds all 3 acts, and you get to a crescendo, and whoo, boy, you like horror movies. It's a slow burn, but man, does it pay off at the end. So check out Relic. And then, of course, because I'm me, The Last Dance. Go watch it again, like I'm doing, because it's MJ, and it's always time for MJ. So with that, we're about to say goodbye, but Karama, I had such a good time hosting this event with you. Where can all the kids out there check out the stuff that you're working on? I know you're on Twitch every Tuesday. Is that right?
Yeah, basically, I have a new show called The Blur Girl Live, where I interview all kinds of creators that are in the geek space, well, not they're directors or writers or actors or things like that. And my guest on, my guest changed. So you'll have to go to theblurgirl.com to see who the next guest is. I'm actually the Blur Girl everywhere. TheBlerdGurl. I get mail on Twitter, but you can always find me on Instagram as well. And yeah, I also have a podcast, and I do about 100 other things. But if you follow me on Twitter, you'll be able to basically figure out what I'm doing.
That's right. And luckily, we're all allowed back into Twitter now after yesterday. Yeah. So And once again, if you want to follow Karama, it's the word girl spelled with the U, not with the G-U-R-L. And Maude, we know about you creating the incredible endeavor that is Geek Bomb, and you're hosting Fresh Daily on Quibi. That's 5 days a week. That's every weekday. Where else can the kids find you?
Yeah, the good thing about Fresh Daily is that it's a streaming recommendation show. So if you're sitting there going, what is good and what can I watch? We got you covered there. Geek Bomb just celebrated its eighth birthday, and it would mean a lot to me. Press the subscribe button on the YouTube channel, because I've got a new show called Power Up, and that's all about discussing what I've been playing, watching, and reading throughout the week. I do it with Trisha Hirschberger, who's another amazing woman in the geek space, and we have guests every other week for that. This week will be Troy Baker, which is so exciting because he's the voice of Joel from The Last of Us. But then we also do a new thing called Power Down, but it's a Patreon exclusive. But I have very lately been using it therapeutically to get very deep and personal and vulnerable, which is a new thing for me. So if you want to be involved with that, just subscribe to Geek Bomb's Patreon, where you will also get the after show for the weekly book club that I do with Nerdist. So we are actually covering a Star Wars book this month, Claudia Gray's Bloodline, which I'm stoked about.
I actually read that. That's one of the very few, but I'm not great at reading, but I did actually read. Claudia Gray's great. So
she's so good. Lost Stars.
Karama Horne is our winner today. Maude, I do have something. You know, this is my therapy. So Maude, I just wanted to remind you that I still have the Game Boy that I brought to Chili's.
Actually, that reminds me. I've just been announced as the community correspondent for the new Tetris show that I'm hosting, where they get you to play a new game every single night, and you can win money and be ranked against everyone in the world. So I need you to sign up for that, because you do brilliant things with Tetris.
All right, Molly, what do you think? Should I sign up for? Well, she's still taking a nap, but
I forgot something. I just completely forgot. I'm hosting one of the panels at San Diego Comic-Con. I completely forgot about that. I'm hosting the Humanoids panel for the whole Humanoids team, Mark Wade, and the entire team of all their stuff coming up. My assistant was like, "What are you doing?" I'm sorry.
And now, was that your sister, or was that Houdini running in with the last minute?
That would be amazing if Houdini had that gift. Oh my God. So yes, actually, my next guest on the Blur Girl Live is Matthew Cherry, and I'm also going to be hosting a San Diego Comic-Con panel. And I think we're all going to be doing Comic-Con at home next week, right? With our drinks and our pets.
All doing virtual stuff one way or another. And thank you all for gracing us with your presence here today. Thanks to our incredible Rotten Tomatoes tech team. I'm looking at Alex, Ryan, Kelly, Zoe, Lucy, everybody behind the scenes helping us out here. Ed making things go. So thanks to our entire staff, Rotten Tomatoes. I am Mark Ellis for Karama Horne and Maude Garrett and the pets. We'll see y'all next time on Binge Battle.